Good morning, welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Paul Karitsis, and this is the Esoteric Symbols Tour. And in the first episode of this series, I discussed the positive aspect of the cosmological totem pole, which was exemplified by the sun and by the middle goal. Today, I'll be moving on to the negative side, or the negative and feminine elementary side of the cosmological totem pole, which is exemplified by the moon and by silver, which must be depicted here. That might be illegible. I think it might be that one, or that one, because that one's stupider, but that one. At the lowermost point of the ethereal cosmological ladder is the passive feminine pole, as we pointed out over here. Anyone can penetrate the veil of corporeal appearances and see, as well as understand the cosmological truths directly beneath by studying two intimately connected features, a primary source of light and its reflecting or refracting surface. The sun, for example, over here, expresses the central qualities of the active masculine pole. It is a material, superior manifestation of incarnated light, intellect and pure essence. Just like the great solar orb in the cupola of the heavens, the uppermost echelon of the cosmological totem pole, the masculine aesthetic mode of being, remains eternally rigid and supernally bright. It doesn't change. It's unbecoming, in other words. So over here, there are no changes. On the contrary, the lowermost echelon of the cosmological ladder, the feminine aesthetic mode of becoming, over here, remains basically unstable and in a state of continuous flux. It is formless yet forming, colorless yet colorful. This pole is basically a guise, a face of the prima materia, which is the base substance from which everything's hewn. The prima materia's primary feature is to reflect or to imprint and embody the natural forms imposed upon it. For that reason, its corporeal counterparts are the moon, active materialization, so the active materialization of this force, and the metal silver, which represents its passive materialization. Both the moon and silver are sensitive. They're impressionable and receptive bodies, passively reflecting and forming colorless images from external sources of light. Radical thinkers of the likes of Frau Lily Kalisko, a student of anthroposophist Dr. Rudolf Steiner, was able to methodically demonstrate a qualitative connection between the lunar orb and the metal silver through a chromatographical method which aimed to register changes in chemical reactions of silver nitrate during eclipses, as well as planetary conjunctions and oppositions made by the moon with another planetary sphere. All symbols, as we said, for the seven generative powers, which comprise the cosmological totem pole, the multidimensional ladder, which extends from the Empyrean of God, which is the highest heaven, all the way down to the sphere of Earth and dross matter, are cut from three rudimentary shapes, we said. The circle, the semicircle, and the cross. The second of these symbols, which is the semicircle, is identified with the lowermost echelon of the cosmological totem pole, over here. The feminine aesthetic principle of pure receptivity itself. Hence, as an expression of the lunar cause, it is also a pictogram for material manifestations that have been linked with it. So especially the moon and the metal silver. All created matter that is preponderated by a strictly polarized feminine aesthetic energy liquefies any unique materializing combinations harnessed by the four ethereal elements: fire, air, water, and earth. It dissolves the primary differentiations. The logic behind this supposition lies in basically the fact that the feminine aesthetic is pretty much a synonym for the prima materia, an entity which exists without form like water or liquid mercury. In alchemy, the concept was exemplified by the figure of a queen. And if we look at the Splendor Solar series again, which I showed you in the last lesson, this is plate number 4 of Splendor Solis by Solomon Trismosan. That was the sun or gold, so that's the active pole, and that's lunar or silver. Of course, here represented as a queen, the king and the queen. It's a lovely series, the Splendor Solis. As a metal, silver has been identified, mined, and used for practical purposes since about the 4th millennium BCE. It appears to have enjoyed its heyday under the aegis of classical Greece and imperial Rome, both of which encompassed a deep knowledge of its inherent properties and flexibility of use. Silver was used in the fabrication of the first coins, but also as an agent for purifying water and preventing contagion of food and beverages. During the 8th century, the Arab alchemist Jabir Hayyan revolutionized its use by generating its first metal salt, silver nitrate, which of course was used by Frau Lily Kalisko in her experiments. During the Middle Ages, the occult enterprises, so basically magic, alchemy, and astrology, slithered their way into the conventional European cosmogony from the periphery, together with the laws of sympathy, antipathy, and correspondence to which they all ascribed. Silver's association with the moon and with the sublunary realm of generation lay at the heart of the earliest homeopathic remedies. So if the lunar sphere presided over healing, then it was only natural that silver, its corporeal manifestation, could be concentrated into a solution and administered to cure ailments of the brain, for epilepsy and vertigo, and to accelerate remedial action on bodily wounds and burns. Working on such premises, many Middle-Aged and Renaissance alchemists mixed silver nitrate with opium, musk and camphor in their home laboratories to create a therapeutic tincture known as pilule lunaris, which basically means the pills of the moon, which they prescribed to patients suffering from all of the above mentioned ailments. That basically concludes today's lesson. I do have a small sample of sterling silver to show you, so that's basically silver. Oops. Lovely, nearly as beautiful as gold. On that note, I will see you next time for our next lesson, which will be on the formative force and the esoteric symbol for copper or Venus. I will see you then.